Welcome back to How Much Cooling Do You Need if you have the weird obsession of running Prime 95 24/7, the 13700K edition. For those who are familiar with these videos, it's 250 watts and you can skip to this timestamp. And for those who are not, what we are trying to do here is set the CPU to the exact out-of-the-box boost setting and let it run wild without any restrictions in order to see what type of cooler you really need if you want to run a 13700K at max 24/7 under all circumstances. The setup is relatively easy. We took our ASRock Z790 Steel Legend, slapped the 13700K in there and a 4090 because we still need a display adapter, and then we set the CPU to run at absolute max out of the box. And that's really important because we are not doing an overclocking guide. No, what we want to find out is the amount of needed cooling out of the box for the boost clocks. So we set the P cores to 5.3 GHz, the E cores to 4.2 GHz, and then we enabled all of the turbo and speed boost and all of that XMP stuff. The only thing that was set to disabled is Intel SpeedStep. The reason behind this is that it is annoying and that it reduces practically everything after like a minute, which is not what we want. We want to know max performance 24/7, which one can survive. So the stage is set, 5.3 and 4.2 GHz, everything's still in auto because we are still out of the box, we are not doing undervolting, and a total of 250 watts. The list is not going to be particularly long this time. At this point, let me reintroduce our CPU cooler reference list. This is the chart created by our standard CPU cooler benchmark. The thing is, it was created using a 3900X at 135 watts, which of course is very far from a 13700K. So we removed all of the values and the scale, but what we can still do is use it as a reference list of how coolers will perform in relation to each other. Therefore, what we can do is pick and choose and test individual coolers from this list, and if we know that cooler A, B, C are not able to keep the CPU from exploding, well, then everything below that one won't be either. On the flip side, if D, E and F are okay, well then it's pretty safe to say that everything which is better than those three will also be fine. And all we actually need to do is find the exact moment at which a cooler goes from exploding to somewhat surviving. Now the last thing we need to set is a max temperature that the CPU can get before we say the cooler is defeated, because I disabled everything and those things are going to 115 rather quickly. And I would say 100 degrees C is still a nice value. It's definitely not good, don't get me wrong, but we are also pushing like the absolute border here, so let's say this is the lowest border. This time around we tried a bottom-up approach and it was brutal. It was a complete show. Every damn cooler that I just threw at this monster was utterly defeated, with me just abandoning one test after the other one because I don't want to find out what happens after 115 degrees C. Time and time again, no freaking chance. Granted that the settings that we are using in these videos are pretty brutal too. 250 watts is nothing easy to handle, but still it does make you kind of question the marketing that CPU cooler manufacturers are putting on those retail boxes. The first coolers that were not making me fall into full-blown panic attacks were things like the Mugen 5 Rev C, which, congratulations, 110 degrees C. Well, what an accomplishment. Nokia NH-D12L, exactly the same thing, but something that made me pretty worried was the Nokia NH-D15. Sure, it is the best air cooler that we have, and it did score the lowest temperature, 107 in a 23 degrees C room. At this point, I also want to get something out. I get that for gaming you would never push that amount of load, and that's normal, but if somebody gets these types of chips for a long-term productivity task, let's say they are rendering Avatar 3, well, how the hell are people supposed to keep these chips cool? Like, if you are really planning to put the chip on steroids and keep it there 24/7, the options you have to not let it explode can be counted on a single hand. That's completely ridiculous. Anyway, from there the list gets quite acceptable rather quickly. And I said acceptable, not good. The Liquid Freezer 240, for example, was the very first cooler capable of keeping the 13700K at exactly 100 degrees C. Yay, we have a winner. From there, the list got better and better, 97 for the 360 and 91 for the 420 edition. What the hell? Given the settings we used, we can use the following coolers if we want to use a 13700K. What is that? No, in all seriousness, there are a few things. First, for the negative side. We are doing these benchmarks on a test bench, so the coolers are performing under the best possible circumstances, which is just free air. Add a case to that and the numbers are going to go down, or up in that case. Then on the positive side, what we are doing here is the absolute max that this chip can push, without us actually overclocking anything. Though boost is not like stock, but still, you get what I'm trying to say. Additionally, we disabled that pesky speed step option, which lowers everything by quite a bit within a minute. Add that to the fact that something like gaming will never even nearly pull as much as we did for this test, and the list is not that bad anymore. But still, this is supposed to showcase all the possible options if you wanna be on the safe side. And after we tested like a dozen of coolers on this little monster, I can just say it has to be like a good 240 AO or just flat up 360 upwards. Everything below may, under the wrong circumstances, lead to thermal throttling, or allow the CPU to operate at temps that I am certainly not comfortable running it at. On a short side note, though the video is just not about it, definitely make sure to look into undervolting or just power limiting this chip. Even the smallest amount can lead to so much better temps under basically zero performance loss, and it's really incredible. But okay, this should be it for today and my list of 11. And my list of 11 coolers that I am comfortable recommending for a 13700K. But if you want to continue watching, have a look at our take on the minimum cooler for a 13600K. At least that list was a bit bigger. By the way, we also have a Discord server and it's filling up quite quickly, so if you want to join, the link is in the description below. Anyway, thank you for watching and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.